Before I bring your next speaker, I'd like to recognize somebody. At Freedom Law School, we have a tradition of recognizing individuals who've made the great contributions to America and the world in the fields of freedom and health, peace, justice, exposing truths that are hidden from the people. And we recognize many people at our Friday and Saturday evening banquets, but there is one more individual that we still like to recognize. And this person was one where he was interested in freedom issues, but he was ridiculed by everybody around him. They thought he was crazy. They literally did. They attempted to put him in, mental hospital for the things he was saying. And he didn't give up his quest for the truth because he knew that information he was reading and sharing was verifiable. And eventually, this person saw a movie called America, Freedom to Fascism. And he thought, wow, this movie is, right on point. This is something that really needs to be seen by a lot more people. And he did. He got involved and got this movie out to a lot more people, and they become very active as a result. There was a movement growing, and he became involved with this movie that late Aaron Russo put together. And eventually, when the late Aaron Russo wanted to have this work be continued, and he knew he was not in good health, unfortunately he had cancer, and he was looking for some people to pick up on this momentum that was created in the freedom movement and educational movement, and spread it out there and organize the people into action to get rid of the Federal Reserve, get rid of the income tax, restore the Constitution of the United States, restore our freedoms. And when Aaron Russo asked him to do it, he didn't think he could do it. He said, me? I haven't had experience leading an organization. But guess what? He's done a fine job of expanding an organization dedicated to restoring our republic. And it is called Restore the Republic. And folks, how many of you have seen the movie America, Freedom to Fascism? Raise your hand. Yes, and a lot more people. Well, this man is the main force behind getting this message out there in that documentary to the American people. And so Freedom Law School, in recognition of your tireless and brave efforts to inform the American public of the threats to our rights and freedom as guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, recognizes you, Gary Franchi, as an American freedom hero. And I give you your speaker for this next section, Gary Franchi. Well, Gary, many of you were in the audience. We gave the award to Gary last night, but Gary happened to be outside trying to get recording preparations for our banquet speaker last night, Orly Tates, so he missed the award ceremony. But you all kept it secret. Nobody told him about it, right? So we did a second one. Here we go.
Wow, this is absolutely unexpected. I thought I had to put at least 15 more years in to get one of these. So, wow. Thank you so much. This is an absolute honor to have this, and it's kind of funny too because before he was giving out these awards yesterday, I said, "Man, someday I hope I get one of those." I said, "But I got to put a few more years in, don't I, Paymon? You know." Thank you. All right. Well, my name is Gary Franchi, and I guess I don't really need to introduce myself. It's already been done. I'm the producer of Camp FEMA, a documentary that discusses some very difficult topics. And that's what we're going to talk about today, some difficult topics. This film was recently broadcast on PBS in Denver. Did anyone see that by chance? No? Well, it made a lot of controversy, but the American public really came out in Denver, in the Colorado area, and it was one of the highest grossing fundraisers for the Denver PBS station. And I think that's really a testimony to the message of the film, because there really is a vacuum in the media today. And people like myself and Mark and George, we're there trying to get the information out to the American people. And documentary films is an excellent way. In fact, I would not be here today if it wasn't for the documentary film work of people like Alex Jones and Aaron Russo. So, here we go. Which is the button here? Just the big one? Go to the right. Sam Ozaki, internment camp survivor. He's a gentleman I interviewed for about an hour in the film. And one of the quotes that he says in the movie, and it really struck me so hard when I heard this from his mouth, sitting in his living room, surrounded by his family. He said, "We were all rounded up like cattle and placed into America's concentration camps." Now, strangely enough, I woke up just the other morning and I found a newspaper sitting in, well, I guess maybe here it is. Excuse me. Newspaper was at the door, and it showed a police officer with a taser gun. And I said, wow, that's like a cattle prod. And I thought to myself, well, they treat us like cattle. They want to keep us in line. They're going to poke us, and they're going to prod us, and they're going to make sure that we obey. And then again, I wake up again this morning. Another newspaper, front page, canines on patrol. There's another one. We're going to sick the dogs on you if you don't stay in line. We were all rounded up like cattle and placed into America's concentration camps. Now, World War II camps in America. H.R. 442 was the bill that authorized wartime internment camp of civilians. This was American civilians. Sam Ozaki was an American. Now, he happened to be of Japanese ancestry. I believe he was first generation. And, I mean, he was born here, just like all of us, or maybe most of us. And they took him in. One thing that he had to, when we discussed the whole internment camp situation, he was only allowed to bring what he could carry. They had to give up everything. They had to give up their homes, their bank accounts, and they had to surrender to the registration centers. More than 100,000 Japanese Americans were interred. It stemmed from the attack on Pearl Harbor. The camps were ordered to reduce the military hazard. Now, they believed that this specific group of Americans was a threat. They were a military hazard. A catastrophic event took place, Pearl Harbor. Now everyone's freaking out, and we got to focus on that group of people and round them up. They were marketed as relocation centers, and each center housed about 7,000 people, 18,000 people. community. They were community bound by the community was bound by a wire fence. It was barbed wire situation, guarded by military police. 12 Americans were killed in the camps. Now, it's something they don't really publicize. But when I spoke with Sam Ozaki, he told me this, and I was actually quite shocked. He said, none of the officers that killed the internees were held accountable except for one. And he was charged with unlawful discharge of government property. And he was charged the price of the bullet that killed the man that walked too close to the fence. In 1944, the Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of the exclusion zones. The exclusion zones were the states that bordered on the Pacific side, the western coast of the United States, where the majority of the Japanese Americans and Japanese immigrants had migrated to. In 1945, the internees they were released. They were given $25 and a train ticket home. Ain't that nice? 25 bucks. Here you go. Here's your train ticket. See you later. Sam Ozaki, actually, he got out a little early, though. He got out early because he volunteered for the military. See, the military had a little program for Sam and those that they wanted to get into this little propaganda campaign. Hey, we're not racist. We're not trying to discriminate against Japanese Americans. No. We've got our own regiment right here. So Sam was able to volunteer, and he was able to get out. There's a picture that he showed me of him holding, he was with his mother. He was leaving the camp, and he's wearing his military uniform in the camp. I wish I had that photograph. 1988, Ronald Reagan apologized and signs a bill granting reparations. 1988. Took them that long to admit that they were wrong? After the Supreme Court went ahead and said, oh, this is constitutional. Yeah, you can round up all these Americans. Sure, it's for the national security. You know, another side note is that some of the Americans that were interned never shared their experience with their family. It was a shame to them. They kept it a secret for a long time. Some families still don't know, but there is still a group of internees that meet every year, and unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to attend, but I was invited to meet all of them. What lengths will government go to preserve their power? Let's get a little history here. Counterintelligence program. Who's ever heard of COINTELPRO? Okay, all right. We're going to learn something today. COINTELPRO it stands for Counterintelligence Program. It was covert and often illegal techniques employed by police, FBI, federal agents to suppress political movements. It was aimed at investigating and disrupting dissident political groups. The groups that were targeted during the COINTELPRO operation: the Black Panther Party, Ku Klux Klan, Communist Party, socialist organizations, nonviolent civil rights organizations, anti-war groups. But who are they targeting today? That's what we're going to find out a little bit later. The measures that were taken during the COINTELPRO, counterintelligence program, was that J. Edgar Hoover ordered FBI agents to expose, disrupt, misdirect, discredit, or otherwise neutralize the activities of these movements and their leaders. Speakers, teachers, and writers, and even individual student demonstrations with no group affiliations were all fair game. They sent in agent provocateurs into organizations, set up pseudo movements, fake movements with similar names to completely co-opt movements. they would they would go and what is it they would do? They would prevent them from renting halls. They would violate law. They would break into their offices. I mean, they would spare no expense to suppress the political movement of that time. Individual case studies revealed that FBI was successful in preventing the distribution of books, newspapers, periodicals, stopping chapters of target groups from being formed, disrupting peaceful demonstration, large anti-war marches, and denying facilities for meeting and conferences. Just want to say thanks to all the FBI agents that are here today. Hope you learned something. Next. According to attorney Brian Glick in his book War at Home, the FBI used four main methods for their counterintelligence program: infiltration, getting agents on the inside in order to undermine the trust and scare off potential supporters. Psychological warfare was employed, planting false media stories, forging correspondence, making anonymous phone calls, spreading misinformation about meetings and events, setting up pseudo-movement groups run by government agents, manipulating and threatening parents, employers, landlords, school officials, and others to cause trouble for activists. These are the links that the United States federal government will go to quell a political movement. They use harassment through the legal system. The FBI and police abuse the legal system to harass dissidents and make them appear to be criminals. Officers of the law gave perjured testimony and presented fabricated evidence as a pretext for false arrest and wrongful imprisonment. And they discriminately enforced tax laws. Motivation. Why would they do such a thing? Protecting the national security. That's always the excuse. National security. Got to get the terrorists. Preventing violence. Maintaining the existing social and political order. I thought the existing social and political order was constitutional. It was standing on our Constitution, right? Now, let's take a look at the mindset of the political establishment of the past. Wait, call the camps. Yes. Is this what slide number is this? Go forward. Okay, the mindset of the political establishment of the past, they call the camps war relocation camps, used for detainment, re-education, and forced labor. And they use the census. They use the census to round up the Japanese Americans. Aren't we? We're in a census year, aren't we? Wait a second. I just heard that they're going to be bringing GPS trackers to everyone's front door. Did you know that? Who knew that? Raise your hand. Yeah. And they got a real nice questionnaire for us all this year. I thought they only had to ask how many people live here. Very detailed questions. Ron Paul recently came out and said, the questions you don't want to answer, say none of your business. Now, their justification for rounding these Americans up was race prejudice, wartime hysteria, and failure of political leadership. Now, that comes from the bill. Those are direct words from the bill that Reagan used to apologize. And in the Department of Defense propaganda reel, which I hope we'll have time to get to, they said they are not under suspicion. They are not prisoners. They are not internees. They are merely dislocated people, the unwounded casualties of war. Yeah. Ask that to those 12 guys that got killed. Ask that to those families that had to give up everything. Ask that. Ask that of the people that got a train ticket home, $20 and $25. In the movie Camp FEMA, you'll see I hope we have time, you'll see this propaganda reel. It's amazing how they sold it. They show this nice Japanese man with his wife, and they're all dressed in a nice coat and carrying their suitcase. Hey, we're going off to the relocation center. Yeah. Yeah, the FEMA camps, they're going to have volleyball nets too. The birth of FEMA. FEMA stands for the Federal Emergency Management Administration. It was created out of an executive order, 12127, in April 1st, 1979. It was the April Fool's joke of that year. It was created to coordinate the response to disasters that overwhelm local and state authorities. Yeah, ask that to the victims of Katrina. FEMA absorbs, when it was created, it absorbed a series of agencies. It became the umbrella. Sort of like the Department of Homeland Security absorbed a whole series of agencies. They absorbed a Federal Insurance Administration, National Fire Prevention and Control Administration, National Weather Service Community Preparedness Program, and the Department of Defense Civil Preparedness Agency. Wonder why. Now, in 2003, FEMA was absorbed by the Department of Homeland Security and became part of the Preparedness and Response Directorate. The Department of Homeland Security's primary objective, as you can see here, is to protect our nation from dangerous people. Okay? That comes directly from Homeland Security documentation, from the goals and objectives portion of their founding documents. Who are these dangerous people? It doesn't say. All right. It doesn't say terrorists. It says dangerous people. Well, that's so broad. Give me a break. I mean, a dangerous person could be someone that spills coffee on you, you know? Come on, people. FEMA's 3 directives: national emergency recovery, which they really fail miserably at; the continuity of government, which is the continuation of government in the event of a national disaster of sorts; and combating perceived threats to the social and political order. Now, I mean, here's just a little side note. I don't know, I mean, even if everything goes wrong and they do decide to round people up, I mean, you look at their track record, I mean, I don't know if they could even pull it off. They seem so dysfunctional. But nonetheless, they do have plans in place. Oh, here's one now. FEMA City, Florida. Sunny Florida, right. Look at all the nice, pretty little trailers. Whoa! What happened? Sorry. There it is. Where's that button? I'm doing something wrong here. Well, anyway, you see all the trailers there. FEMA City, Florida was created after Hurricane Charlie. It became a crime haven, drug center, because it was all these misplaced people were built. These trailers were brought in. The misplaced people moved in. Formaldehyde leaks in the trailers. People getting sick. They were granted free housing though, with free nosebleeds. What the camps are used for: to provide aid during a natural disaster. Okay, here's an example. Highland Mall, Austin, Texas, Hurricane Katrina. Go ahead, Google it. Put it in YouTube. You'll find the footage of a group in Austin, Texas, walking up with a camera. We included it in the film. They walk up, and there's a Homeland Security trailer right in front of this abandoned part of the Highland Mall. And they walk up, knock on the door, and these FEMA representatives come out. What is FEMA doing here? What's going on? Why are you guys here? Get out of here. None of your business. They used a mall as part of their emergency preparedness program in the event that Katrina overwhelmed and everyone came flooding into Austin. Remember that. A mall. Private building, privately owned. The Superdome in New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina again. Another private building used to house refugees. Or I guess the proper term would be victims of the hurricane. Famous City, Florida, Hurricane Charlie. Or to house suspects after a terrorist attack. Now, who remembers 9/11? Only a few of you. Well, 9/11, the government went into open roundup mode, reverted back to that World War II mentality, wartime hysteria. Everyone's a suspect. Started rounding up Muslims and putting them into municipal facilities, police stations, jails, that type of thing. Everyone's a suspect. But now it's not everyone, not just the Muslims anymore. It's all of us. The Muslims after 9/11 in the municipal buildings. Also, to combat the threat of illegal aliens, Taylor, Texas, is another facility. Federal Detention Center. We had footage that didn't quite make the cut in the film. Alex Jones had given it to us to use. And his crew went out there to Taylor, Texas, to this FEMA, Federal Detention Center. And there's photographs of these, or video of children playing on swing sets behind barbed wire. It's insane. Used during periods of civil unrest. Pier 54 in the Republican National Convention, 2004, and the industrial parks of the Democratic National Convention of 2008. That was in Denver. Pier 54 was in New York. Industrial parks were in Denver. Now, what they did was they swept up political activists, people who are in the streets expressing their dissent, their freedom of assembly, and their freedom of speech. Oh, hey, there's a postcard from some of our friends at FEMA City. Isn't that nice? Now, the mindset of political establishment today, who are the groups that our own government is targeting? Ron Paul supporters, Chuck Baldwin supporters, gun ownership rights supporters, private property rights supporters, homeschooling supporters. Oh, and that pesky little piece of paper, the U.S. Constitution. Yes. Don't get caught with one of those. People who believe that U.S. elections are rigged. No. It's a conspiracy. People who believe that a new world order exists. No such thing. Come on, look the other way. Nothing to see here. American military bases will be used as concentration camps. Yeah, they don't exist. And people who believe that we're living in the end times. So watch out if you believe in Jesus and happen to know the Gospels and the teachings of Christ. Now, these are all sourced directly from government documents. I'm not just pulling this out of a hat here. Project Megiddo, look it up. FBI document, October 20th, 1999. The infamous MIAC report. Who knows about the MIAC report? Okay. This really blew up last year. The Missouri Information Analysis Center is a fusion center that combines federal, local, and state authorities with the Department of Homeland Security. The MIAC report was distributed to state troopers throughout the state of Missouri, February 20th of 2009. It was leaked to Alex Jones. He broadcast it on his show, and as soon as he did, the entire Patriot Freedom movement went nuts. because it said specifically in that document that if you supported Ron Paul, if you supported Chuck Baldwin, if you support Bob Barr, if you believe in FEMA camps or ending the Fed, you may be a violent militia member. If you have a bumper sticker with Ron Paul's name on it, you may be a violent, radical extremist. This was a document that was handed to the state troopers.
And when you get pulled over, extreme caution.
Yeah. So, but there was one good state trooper there that knew better. There are good folks among the ranks. He handed the document over. Oh, we had a blast calling the Missouri Information Analysis Center. That was a wonderful time. You send out an email blast. You tell everyone to call the state trooper's office. Oh, yeah. You hear it when you call. Yeah, what are you calling about? No. Oh, we'll get into that later. We can talk more. Department of Homeland Security, right-wing extremism, current economic and political climate, refueling resurgence and radicalization recruitment. April 7th, 2009, another document. And of course, the more recent Southern Poverty Law Center intelligence report, The Rise of the Right, which I am proudly in. Thank you very much, Southern Poverty Law Center. You know, I really have to thank them. Our site traffic is up, DVD sales are up, membership is up. Come on, keep it coming. Okay, where are we now? The primary purpose for us is to provide help to people in need in the aftermath of a WMD event like event in the homeland. Colonel Michael Boatner. But what if that's the primary purpose? What is the secondary purpose? What could there be a secondary purpose for these camps? What are the characteristics of a camp? Now, if you've done any research online, you'll find a lot of information about these camps. There's a lot of information in the film we did not include because we could corroborate certain things, such as the large plastic bins have been spotted all across the country. Now, we did find a reasonable explanation for them as grave liners. We did not include those in the film. We also did not include the rail cars that people have seen across the country. For one reason, and that's because they also could double as an automobile carrier. You know, where the bench supposedly is that's where the wheels line up on the car, and the chain that runs through the center of the rail car is what they attach to the axles of the vehicles. So we didn't include it. We want to make sure that what we included in the film could not be contested. They're built with public works, medical, and educational facilities. That's what all of the internment camps of World War II had in them. And House Resolution 645, recently introduced in the last session of Congress by Elsie Hastings out of Florida, went ahead and it was called the National Emergency Centers Establishment Act, which would go ahead and create even more and legitimize the official structure of these camps. Bill, I don't believe the bill passed. We put a lot of pressure on those folks not to pass it. These camps are built in existing military installations. So some people say, well, are they building them now? No, they're here. They're camps all over the country. They're existing military installations. They contain guard posts with barbed wire fencing, often facing in. They can be any private or municipal structure. They can be a stadium, as mentioned before. State fairgrounds. That is where Sam Ozaki and his family had to go. State fairgrounds, horse track, racetracks, horse stables. Families were rounded up and put into horse stables. Americans. Airports. High schools. And maybe even a hotel. You know, as I was walking in, the door was locked, and someone had said, "It looks like we're locked out." I said, "Yeah, better than being locked in." Okay, here you go. here's your map. Possible U.S. camp locations. Can we pull up that tab? Now, we really don't have very much time left. Up. No, right there. First tab. Now, if you can, try to zoom in on any one of those dots, or, well, I mean, you got to go to this map, drill down to each of the pinpoints. Now, we looked at a lot of these places. Some were old bases that were converted into golf courses. Some were existing military bases. There's a huge one in Alaska, massive, and you can just, hey, go to Google Maps, zoom right down on top of it. You can look right at it. I traveled to the one of the most infamous locations in Indianapolis, which is an Amtrak repair facility. Now, it's been floating around the internet for years and years and years that this is a FEMA camp. Well, I went there, I looked at it, I was not convinced. In fact, the Amtrak employees there were giving me the hairy eyeball because here's this conspiracy theorist with his camera looking over the fence again, you know. So, no, I wasn't convinced, but, you know, hey. Anyway, I'm going to make a link for everybody. We'll call it, if you want to write it down, forwardthislink.com/FEMA camp map. If one of you guys could write that down for me, I'll forget. Okay. Wait, we're fast forwarding. Back, other way. Now, if you play this backwards, there is a secret message. You're going way wrong way. It's not active right now, but forwardthislink.com/FEMA camp map. Okay, move, go ahead, Wanda. Now, are we a threat because we love our country, our flag, and our Constitution? Are we? According to them. So what do we do? What do we do about these camps? Oh, how we burned in the prison camps, later thinking, what would things have been like if every police operative, when he went out at night to make an arrest, had been uncertain whether he would return alive? If during periods of mass arrest, people had not simply sat in their lairs, paling with terror at every bang of the downstairs door and every step on the staircase, but had understood that they had nothing to lose and had boldly set up in the downstairs hall an ambush of half a dozen people with axes, hammers, pokers, or whatever was at hand. Notice it didn't say any guns. The organs would very quickly have suffered a shortage of officers and transport, and notwithstanding all of Stalin's thirst, the cursed machine would have ground to a halt. The Gulag Archipelago, Alexander Solzhenitsyn. Next, please. First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. Pastor Martin Niemöller. Now, just look at those words. Flip those around. Take out communists, replace it with Ron Paul supporter. Take out trade unionists and put in libertarian activists. It's interchangeable. Next, please. When the knock comes, if it comes, do you go quietly? These are questions you're going to have to ask yourself. Do you go quietly? Do you put up a fight? Do you defend your family? I can't tell you what to do because we all have choices to make as independent people on this beautiful earth that we have. You must make that choice. The choice is yours. Now, I'm going to ask you to take action with us. We must continue to raise our voices in opposition, no matter how much fear and how much tyranny and how much oppression that they decide to throw down upon us. No matter how many TSA checkpoints we have to go through, no matter how many police checkpoints we have to succumb to, no matter how many taserings we have to endure, no matter how many illegal searches and seizures on our automobiles and our homes we have to endure, we cannot let these people tell us or intimidate us. We are sovereign United States citizens, and nothing is going to stop us from this tyranny. We must get active and meet like-minded Americans. My website, my social networking tool is restoretherepublic.net. restoretherepublic.net. It is the fastest growing patriot networking site, co-founded by myself and Aaron Russo. It is home to over 21,000 freedom-loving Americans who are actively networking, connecting, creating groups, forming actions, sharing blogs, making friends, adding comments, and taking action together. Purchase a copy of Camp FEMA. I have only 6 with me today. You want an official copy? See me afterwards. Have home screenings of this movie. Go to your local library. Have a screening there. Send a copy to your local PBS station, as one of our groups did in Colorado. That Colorado market has the potential had the potential to reach just over 3 million people in the Colorado area. 80% of Colorado is covered by that station. Go to campfema.com for more information. There's trailers, links. The link to that map is here on that website. And watch Aaron Russo's America, Freedom to Fascism. If you've already watched it, watch it again and again and again. Because that movie is so powerful. The message of that film will inspire you every time you see it again. In fact, Ron Paul credits that film with bringing tens of thousands of patriots into his presidential campaign. You can watch it for free at Google Video, that film, America, Freedom to Fascism. You should also share the link to that movie, America, Freedom to Fascism, with everybody that you know. Take and harness the power of the internet into the little palm of your mouse. You can do so much as an individual just by simply clicking the left mouse button. Load up your email address book. Hey, Mom and Dad. Hey, Sally and Bill. Check out this link to this really cool movie I just saw. I want to know what you think about it because I have some questions. I really value your opinion. Could you help me understand what this movie's about? Okay. Well, that's what I want you to do. I want you to take action with me, all the people here, and that's the end of my presentation. So, thank you very much.